I'm Lou. I'm an artist and I run Girl Zine Fair, which you may or may not be following. Hopefully you are. This is Girls Lou Does a Zine Review, where I look at the zines that I've got recently and then I talk to you about them in hope that you'll find something new, that you'll check out some cool self-publishers that you might not have heard before. Also to just like show you the scope of the Girl Zine library and the kind of thing that I want to platform on the platform of Girl Zine Fair. If you want to send any zines to me at the Girl Zine library, then please do a little DM. People ask me during zine workshops, like if I was going to get my zine printed, how would I get it stocked somewhere? So there's like setting up your own free website on something like Big Cartel, but then also you can just walk into shops and kind of ask them. So I was in New York last week and I bought some zines with me, Girl in Print issue 3, asked to speak to someone who deals with the stockists. I got some cute little cards made up as well, so I could give them to them and maybe get them to write down their name or number on there. Some shops actually have like a zine curator or someone that buys zines specifically, which is pretty crazy and also my dream job. If you're going somewhere new or you're going to a place where you think there'll be bookshops that might support zine makers, then just bring some with you and you can always be like, hey, do you want to take these for free? They can stock you or they can review you. But a lot of the time just having a conversation with the person that runs a bookshop is really helpful, and then you're also kind of creating a partner. I went to Bluestockings, which is in Lower Manhattan. It's a volunteer supported and collectively owned radical bookstore, fair trade cafe and activist centre. So when I was in there was actually some activist meetings happening in the cafe bit. I went, I had some coffee, had some like vegan banana bread, which was great. And then I spoke to them about stocking Girl in Print and they took some copies, so that was really exciting. And then I proceeded to lose my mind and spend a lot of money. So I'm a huge fan of witches and witchcraft, being from Essex, which was the second most witch hunts in the world aside from Salem in the US. I find the history of it super interesting and also contemporary witchcraft as well. But I found this book, but it is called Women Who Run with the Wolves, Myths and Stories of the Wild Women Archetype. This is a comic I picked up, a quick and easy guide to queer and trans identities. At the start of my workshops I always get everyone to, if they want to open up, to share their pronouns, and a lot of the time if people haven't come across that kind of language before, they'll ask me a bit about pronouns, which I'm very happy to share, but I also think it's great to have more resources like that in the library, because some people don't feel comfortable asking about that kind of thing or have been questioning things themselves, and want to hear it from other trans or non-binary people. So I picked up this comic. There's also like cool little bits where you can add to the comic as well. So here, so it's really inviting you to like take part and like feel like you're part of the book. This section's design a pair of friendship jackets, which is such a cool idea. So it's talking about creating your own patches, your own pins, dear past self or future self. So this is a little section for you to fill in. So Maddie, who's one of the authors, wrote this little section at the start, which I think is really helpful for context. Before things kick off with this whole education book thing, I want to step in and clarify a little bit. This book is meant for people with all levels of experience with queer identification, but I want to take a moment to address the people who may be struggling with a common misconception from the start. Some folks might pick up this book and say, why all these labels? Can't people just exist without having to nitpick at who identifies in what way? That certainly would be an ideal scenario. However, this misses something key about queer identities, and labels are meant to serve the individual rather than purely classify them, which I 100% agree with. That often just like defining So like myself as like a queer pansexual was the first step in kind of validating my identity and feeling like I could take up space as that identity. In other words, we define these identities and they do not define us. The main purpose of self-identification and classification is to foster community and counteract feelings of confusion, otherness, and shame. The same principle holds true in other areas of psychology. A feeling is much easier to handle if it has a name set to it and it can be identified. In the same way, a person's personal identity, queer or otherwise, is more tangential if that person can name it and thus own it. Woo! Another book that I picked up at Bluestockings, which I really needed, is How to Not Always Be Working, and it's by Marley Grace, and I'm kind of like halfway through it because it's quite it's not very dense, so you can get through it quite easy. It's very digestible. Interestingly, this book started off as a zine. So the general premise with this book is to kind of divide what you see as work and purpose in the world, what you see as a job, so stuff that's gonna make you money, and then stuff like enjoying your life and not just working all the time. So in terms of zines and magazines that I picked up at Bluestockings, we have Cat's Claw Herbal, DIY Medicine Your Skincare, stories and instructions for salves. It's in this really nice textured paper. Ooh, I shouldn't do that. I got my nails done today, so. Cute little cat for the cat's claw. And then it's kind of typed out in this really nice thin, uncoated, looks quite recycled paper. So in typical zine style, it's handwritten. Got a little instructional descriptions here. And then it talks you through the kind of things you can forage, so different types of plants, and then how you can use them practically, which is great because plants are free as well. You can grow them like little babies. Next up, we've got the Truthangist. Someone say that for me. Truthagandist primer. Is it like propagandist? So effective information distribution for activists. Okay, so this is an activist guide to making signs, giving speeches, and convincing others they should support your cause. In here we've got human psychology and reception of information, making a flyer, giving a presentation. Next I picked up this. It's called Letters to My Ancestors by Ricky Robinson, from the margins of otherness. This is Ricky's letters to their ancestors, by birth, by adoption, or by choice. Asian American studies, radical queer people of colour. You can see it's kind of handwritten and then scanned in. So this is my favourite type of zine in terms of like aesthetics and also a perspective. It's important to have a variety of perspectives in the library. My hope is that the ways I think and talk about love and coexistence manifest through healing justice, through relationships, through daily interactions. I believe love, radical and decolonial love, and caring for each other. Next, I picked up Your Black Friend, which is an open letter from your black friend to you about racism, friendship, and alienation. It's made by Ben Passmore and looks like it's being published by Silver Sprocket. It's $5. Silver Sprocket is from San Francisco, California. And it's also a comic, so these are really amazing drawings. It kind of gives you an insight into their perspective, which is one of the reasons why zines are really important for education, which me as a white woman, this is super invaluable. So I picked up The Grind, issue 1, Perspectives on Stripping from the dancers themselves, and it's by the Feminist Strip Club. It's a group of current and former erotic dancers who explore the present conditions of and utopian visions for the strip club industry. They host events, make performances, publish scenes, and more. This is a collaborative project on strip club labour conditions. And another example of zines showing the perspectives of other people's lives. So let me know if there's any other zines that are similar and also made by sex workers. Then we have Queer Uprisings. So this is about the Stonewall riots. I picked this up for $5. It's by Hazel Newlevant, and it's also a comic style zine. So I'll read you a little bit. Stonewall was not the start of queer mass resistance. It was the first time activists were able to publicise a riot's importance and organise a successful public commemoration, the first Pride marches. The idea that Stonewall was unique or that change was inevitable obscures the effort, planning and bravery that got us to this point. We deserve to remember the legacy of resistance. This is also a really important read for remembering why we have Pride, and that the capitalisation of Pride and all the kind of corporate branded sponsorships, they just don't really sit right. Also from Bluestockings, I got some patches and badges. Oh, and this tiny zine that I forgot to mention, it's called Don't Fucking Touch Me. Hey, look how cute that is. So it's made this year by Carter Monreer. It's very hard to read. So this is literally the cutest thing I've ever seen. The tiny binding. Woo! So let's walk you through it. I'll find them. I'll find them online and I'll tag them. I love this. I feel like we need to put these, just like dot these around public transport, or just like have one in your pocket when you're out at the club and like a weird cis guy's kind of like grinding on you and you're just like, don't fucking touch me, read this tiny zine. I also picked up 100% Organic Nasty Woman. That's mostly because I was in America and the whole like Hillary Clinton thing, even though she's problematic AF. I was being a tourist basically, and this is kind of cute because it looks a bit like Andy Warhol's tin cans. Not that he owns tin cans, but I guess I kind of like that as appropriating him, appropriating something, because it's good to remind men that they don't own everything. Then I also got this, Feminism Now, the belief that men and women should have equal rights, and I mostly got it because my hair's actually faded now, but it was the same colour of my hair. You could get some cute little patches.